Raven's Flight by Diane Sylvie, Chapter 2. Raven walked along Main, nervously checking the numbers above each doorway. Her hand shook. She looked up at a dilapidated building with a street number dangling off a shingle. There must be some mistake. This neglected old dump couldn't be the place where her sister lived. Marcy's letters had told her of how well she was doing and how much she loved her modern new apartment. This was a run-down hotel that rented rooms by the week. Not really an apartment at all. The sign out front reads, "No drugs, no parties, no visitors after 10 p.m." It was after 10 p.m. now, but she had to take a chance Rita would let her in before a landlord spotted her. Raven tried the tarnished doorknob to see if it was locked, but as she turned, it almost fell off in her hands. The lock had been jimmied so often, the landlord must have given up trying to fix it. Raven opened up the door cautiously. The rusty hinges creaked. It took her eyes a few seconds to adjust to the dim interior. The stairwell lay in total darkness. A burnt-out light bulb dangled haphazardly from a long, frayed cord above the stairs. She made her way gingerly up the lopsided stairs. She made her way gingerly up the lopsided stairs toward a light from one of the upstairs rooms. Something moved furtively in the shadows. A rat raced past her and down the stairs. Raven shuddered, took a deep breath, and continued. At the top landing, she began looking for her sister's room, number 7. She located it and knocked on the door. A hollow echo resounded along the hall. A door down the hall opened and a scruffy middle-aged man peered out. "There's nobody there, sweet thing. Why don't you come in here and wait until they get back?" he wheezed. He wore a soiled undershirt and baggy pants held up with a cord. He reeked of alcohol, even several feet away, and he swayed a little before retreating into his room. In desperation, she knocked louder on the door. It opened a crack, and a tough-looking man in his 20s peered out at her. "What do you want, kid?" he sneered. "Oh, my sister. Or Rita, my cousin," Raven stuttered. "Yeah, well, she ain't here, so get lost," he snarled, shutting the door. "No, wait. My sister Marcy lives here," Raven protested. Suddenly, the door swung open. Rita stood in the doorway. "Hey, kid. We didn't know it was you. Can't be too careful nowadays," she quipped as she winked knowingly at the man beside her. "Don't mind Ted. He's just hung over after hanging out with Christy last night. Feeling a bit rough, aren't you, Teddy boy?" Ted sat on the edge of a chair. His body rocked and his legs vibrated rapidly. He clasped his knees to try to still their violent trembling. "I need a hit bad. Hurry up. Let's get going," Ted snarled. Raven wondered why Ted wanted to go out again if he felt so bad. "Have you heard from Marcy?" Raven asked hopefully. "Nope. Haven't seen or heard from her in days. We made some inquiries, but nobody's got a clue. Sorry you had to walk over by yourself. We were just getting ready to go over to the station to meet you," she said matter-of-factly, shrugging her shoulders. First thing in the morning, I'll start searching for her. Someone must have seen her. Must have a lead," Raven hoped. I've got to work now, like I said, on the phone, and Ted and I are moving out of this dump in 3 days, so you'll have to, too. You can't stay in the city by yourself, and there'll be new tenants moving in anyway. Your sister's bed is over in the corner. You can sleep there tonight," she yelled over his shoulder as she and Ted left, slamming the door behind them. Rita had definitely changed since Raven had last seen her. She seemed tougher, a bit strung out, and what kind of work did she do at this hour, anyway? Raven didn't think much of her friend Ted. Maybe, as her parents had worried, she'd fallen in with the wrong crowd. Raven sat on her sister's bed and ran her hand over the threadbare patchwork quilt, her grandmother's handiwork. Marcy used to sit in this very quilt at home and write in her diary, usually when she was upset about something. Sometimes she read it aloud to Raven. That gave her an idea. Raven began shuffling papers and objects around, looking for a book that might be Marcy's diary. When she searched under the mattress, her fingers found a diary with a small gold lock on one side. The key was nowhere in sight. Raven glanced at the pile of loose papers lying in the middle of the table. She lifted a few of them and found cookie crumbs and a brown pill-shaped something. It had a strange sheen and appeared to be moving. Suddenly, the egg case split and a mob of tiny brown cockroaches crawled out of their shell. She backed away from the table, screaming. When she calmed down, still queasy, she grabbed a glass for a drink of water, but it was too dirty. She wanted to find something to kill the bugs, but everything she touched was disgusting, and the bugs had crawled for cover under the floorboards by now. The room contained a sink, an old fridge, two saggy beds, a table, and two rickety chairs. Its cracked linoleum floor and peeling walls made it feel even less welcoming. Some apartment. Empty beer bottles and cans lay strewn about. Raven opened the cupboard over the sink, but she slammed the door shut before she could identify the shape scurrying in the dark. How could she spend the night here with rats and filthy bugs crawling everywhere? She'd leave the lights on and perched on the edge of the Marcy's bed with a big shoe and spray can of Raid she'd seen in the bathroom. Tomorrow she'd try to clean up a bit. She grabbed the blankets, shaking them furiously, then checked under the pillow. There lay the key for the diary. Perhaps it would also be the key to discovering the circumstances that led to Marcy's disappearance. She flipped through the pages looking for the last entry. It was weeks ago. Marcy had faithfully called home every weekend, at first. Then she had resorted to just dropping short notes in the mail. But none of what she had said bore any resemblance to these entries. Dear Diary, Tuesday, April 2nd. I have arrived. This is the beginning of a new life for me. The sky is the limit. First, I'll get a good job and then rent my own apartment. I can hardly sleep. I'm so excited. Dear Diary, Wednesday, April 3rd. Had little success finding a job today, but I'm sure tomorrow will be different. I love the streets, the neon lights, the excitement. Dear Diary, Thursday, April 4th. I applied for other jobs today, but they all require more experience than I have. I tell them that though I didn't graduate from college, I'm willing to learn and work my way to the top. It doesn't look good. I met some kids today. They're really cool. They hang out on the street corner and smoke, and seem to know the city like the backs of their hands. They've offered to show me around and introduce me to somebody who may be able to get me a job. No experience necessary. Dear Diary, Friday, April 5th. I went for my first ride in a taxicab today. One of the girls got a call on her pager. She said she had to make a run uptown and asked if I wanted to tag along. I couldn't believe it when the fare came to $14. She gave the driver 20 and told him to keep the change. I wouldn't even have earned the tip, $6 for a night of babysitting back home. Dear Diary, Saturday, April 6th. I didn't have time to look for a job today. My new friend said, "Why bother? There's no jobs out there anyway." Hanging out at Hastings in Maine is where it's at. They introduced me to the head guy, Lonnie. He told me he had a friend in the entertainment business that would keep an eye out for a job. I like sitting around with them better than pounding the pavement anyways. I realize this is what it's all about, being where the action is. Dear Diary, Sunday, April 7th. I think I'm falling for him. I've seen Lonnie twice now, and he's so good looking. I'm sure he likes me in the same way, except that he has a girlfriend. I don't know what he sees in her. She's really skinny, and her hair is scraggly. Anyway, he asked me out for lunch tomorrow. I guess if he really cared about her, he wouldn't be flirting with me, so it can't be serious. Dear Diary, Monday, April 8th. Lonnie offered to buy me some new clothes, and maybe soon I'd be making enough money for a car of my own. He said I was part of the family now and deserved to have the same luxuries the other girls had. What a great guy. When we passed a street vendor, he stopped and bought me a red rose. What next? Dear Diary, Monday, April 15th. As I walked past Oppenheimer Park tonight, I swear I sensed someone or something slinking behind me. I could feel it, but I couldn't see it. As I walked faster, its footsteps quickened to keep pace with mine. Terrified, I raced all the way back home. My hands were shaking so badly I could hardly fit the key in the lock. I yanked the door open, slammed it shut behind me, and shot the deadbolt into place. My breathing was shallow. My heart was pounding, and my hands were so cold and clammy. Safe, safe. But for how long? When I crept toward the window and carefully lifted the blind to peer into the darkness, my eyes detected a flicker of light. There it was again, blue light, an animal's shadow, a coyote flitting through the dark, a chill, cold, so very, very cold. Dear Diary, Wednesday, April 17th. Having trouble sleeping. I feel so restless, so tired, I'm afraid to shut my eyes. It's getting stronger and stronger. I must tell JL. He will know what to do. The pain is so intense I can't sleep, can't eat. I'm losing control. Help me take the pain away. Dear Diary, Thursday, April 18th. It came to me last night. I reached out. I almost touched it. I felt the pain lessen. JL says I should stay away. It's addictive. He must be jealous. I can't trust him anywhere more. I want to write, but the shadows get in the way. Come to me. Dear Diary, Monday, April 22nd. I dreamt I was sitting in the dark crying and enveloped in an ominous blue light. A blue coyote took form before my eyes. A spirit animal? No, it couldn't be. Besides, I would have had to prepare ritually before entering a vision quest. It was an omen from a darker realm. In this place there were lights, the sound of trains shuttling to and fro, bells ringing, then gentle lapping of waves. I was on a pier with warehouse doors open to the docks, grey smoke around me. I turned toward the blue coyote in a trance-like state. Where were the rest of the entries? The last one was dated April 22nd. It was now May 9th. Raven turned page after page, all blank. She was cold, achy, and hungry. She felt light-headed and walked over to the fridge, pulling on the metal handle. The door didn't budge. She yanked harder, and the door made a loud clunk as it opened to a half-eaten pizza, a container of milk, and a shriveled apple. She picked up the bottle and removed the lid. The smell of curdled milk made her nose wrinkle in disgust. She quickly replaced the cap to stifle the offensive odor. She picked up the apple and carefully pared away the wrinkled skin with a sharp knife. A few pieces were still edible. At the table, she pulled out her wallet out of her knapsack and counted her money. After purchasing the bus ticket and buying something to eat on the ferry, she had $172.53 left. The footfall of heavy boots and a woman's shrill laughter echoed up the stairs. Rita and Ted were returning. Raven scooped up the money lying on the table and crammed it into her pocket just as the door flung open. Ted's hungry street eyes were quick to spot a secret. What was she hiding in her hand? "You still here, kid? I thought you would have headed home by now." Ted sneered, slumping on one of the kitchen chairs, his eyes focused intently on Raven's pocket. Rita hauled 2 battered suitcases from under the bed and flung them on the mattress. She marched over to Marcy's bed on Marcy's side of the room and started pulling clothes off the hangers and stuffing them into the suitcases. "Aren't those my sister's clothes?" Raven protested. "Yeah, I'm just taking back the stuff I lent her. That's all." She grabbed an armful of tops and skirts, stuffed them into the suitcase, and tried to force the lid shut. We're going to spend the night at our new place. Ted's found a great pad, and besides, it'll give you some privacy. I know I told your dad I'd look after you, but Ted thinks we'd better be moving on, and you seem to know what you're doing. I'll try to check in on you tomorrow. Make sure you know your way around," she said, picking up one suitcase and walking down the hall to the stairs. Ted got up slowly. His eyes remained fixed on Raven's pocket as he walked threateningly towards her. A shrill voice screamed up the stairwell. "Ted, what the hell are you doing? Don't take all night. The cab's here." Ted reluctantly grabbed the other suitcase and scurried down the stairs to the waiting taxi. The door swung closed with a loud click. Raven was alone in the city without Rita, and only there's a dump for a roof over her head. She ran over and locked the door before again pulling the money out of her pocket. She laid it on the bed and split it into 3 piles. This way, if she were robbed, the thief wouldn't get all of it. Raven put some of the money in the front pocket of her backpack, some in her jeans pocket, and the rest in a handkerchief in her sock. There wasn't much left in Marcy's closet. The empty wire hangers dangled from a wooden bar overhead. Raven grabbed an old sweater and a pair of faded jeans. Her sister would need a change of clothes when she found her. She stuffed the clothes and the diary into her knapsack, ready for tomorrow morning and her first day on the streets.